Hi, everybody. Ross Porter here. Got a longtime friend with us today. Mike Scioscia spent 13 seasons as a major league catcher, all with the Los Angeles Dodgers. He had 5,000 at-bats, and he played on two world championship teams in 1981 and 1988. Then Mike became the manager of the Angels all 19 years in Anaheim. And at that time, he had a world champion and 6 division titles to his credit. Mike Scioscia is the only man in Major League history to have played all of the games that he played as a catcher with one team, and the only man to be the manager with only one team throughout his career. And we're talking about 10 plus seasons in each case. Scioscia just home a few days ago from Japan, where he directed Team USA to the silver medal in baseball. Mike, great to see you. I know you had a good time over there, didn't you?
Great time, Ross. Great to be with you. And I couldn't be more proud of how our guys handled themselves, how they played. And to medal and get a silver medal is quite an accomplishment, and I'm proud for our guys.
I know it meant a lot to you to represent your country at the Olympics, didn't it?
It did. I think we're all, I know where I grew up was, we're all born with that patriotism, and we love our country. It really hit home when Tommy Lasorda managed the team in 2000 in Australia and came away with the gold medal. Had tears flowing down his eyes, and he recounted to me as as he came back, and we talked over the years what an incredible thrill it was for him. It was a memory of a lifetime, one of his greatest accomplishments. For him to put a USA jersey on and end up with a gold medal. And he said, Mike, if you ever get that chance, take it. So although we didn't quite get to the gold medal, doing it was an incredible experience for me, Ross, and something I'll treasure.
Mike, you and I both heard Tommy say, my greatest sports achievement was winning the gold medal in the Olympics, more so than winning the 2 world championships.
I agree. He said that, and he meant it. Tommy was very emotional. We knew Tommy for a long time, but I never saw the emotion pour out of his heart when they were playing, our national anthem on the medal stand, and he had led a team to a gold medal. It was just an accomplishment for a lifetime for Tommy.
We lost Tommy at 93 in January. You were selected in April, so he didn't know you got the job, did he?
No. Well, we had talked about there were some inquiries made. Would I be available? Would I want to? I think he knew I was going to take it, but unfortunately, obviously, he wasn't able to be around to see us put the team together and vie for that medal. But Tommy was a great influence on all our lives, and I think just the fact that he felt the opportunity to manage an Olympic club meant so much to him. Definitely had an effect on me and influenced me to take that challenge.
Let's start from the top and hear about your experience. When were you first contacted about being the manager of Team USA?
Well, Tony Regans, who was former general manager when I was with the Angels, works with Major League Baseball and is very, very active in all the amateur level, whether it's the youth groups they put together, the clinics, the urban youth academies, all the everything that amateur baseball is about in our country. Had asked me last year if I would be interested if the opportunity came up, and I said sure, I'd love to talk to somebody and just see if if the opportunity comes about. I'd certainly be interested. And that one thing led to another, and got to talk with Paul Seiler from USA Baseball and Mike Scioscia, and they were very, very very excited to have me have the opportunity to lead the club. And, it culminated with us over in Tokyo last week, wrapping up a silver medal.
Were you allowed to choose your own coaches? I mean, it must have been a thrill for you to be reunited with the ex-Dodger pitching coach, Dave Wallace, who became your pitching coach.
Right. There were really only two vacancies on the staff. One was a managerial position, one was a pitching coach. And Dave Wallace was my first choice, and I'm glad that people at USA Baseball went along with it, because Dave was instrumental in keeping a very, very young staff together and have them perform well. But as far as the coaching staff that they have at USA Baseball is incredible. You have guys like Ernie Young and Jerry Weinstein and Rolly DeArmas. These guys, Darren Fenster. These guys are very, very connected in Major League Baseball, in organized baseball, and were really the key personnel in their evaluations to us putting our team together, because I had never had the opportunity to see most of these players. And a lot of the players I saw, I was 3 or 4 years removed, so you really don't know where they are right now. But the extensive contacts that these guys have was critical to us putting together a team that eventually medaled in the Olympics. I can't say enough about their evaluations and really their input in the roster. So I kind of sat back and just listened, and I gave my insights on maybe the type of team that I think we would need in a really a pressure tournament. From the qualifiers on, if you stub your toe in one game, you're really you're in trouble. So we played great baseball. They put together a great team. I can't speak enough for their knowledge of the game and knowledge of players to have put together such a good roster.
Major League Baseball did not allow you to take any players off the 30 clubs we're talking about when it comes to their 26-man roster. How'd you go about getting your players?
Well, actually, it was the 40-man roster too, Ross. We couldn't even dip down. Yeah, we couldn't dip down anywhere in the 40-man roster. I think it's understandable with COVID and when Major League Baseball has gone through in the last couple of years to try to finish seasons. That certainly was understandable. But we had to go with a lot of youth, a lot of guys that weren't quite ready to be protected, but had the talent to be protected, and research that along with the guys on the other end of the spectrum, guys like Edwin Jackson and Todd Frazier and David Robertson, and these guys that were maybe on the other side of their career that still had some gas in their tank to come on board and play with us. And it was a magnificent job. It was a magnificent team. I can't tell you how much fun we had with it, and they played very well.
Did Dave help you contact major league teams and talk about the players that would be available to you?
Yeah, I think everybody on the coaching staff has their contacts, and there's no doubt that Dave Wallace was instrumental in really focusing and putting together a tremendous pitching staff, and his contacts run deep in this game, and I think he made some outstanding choices. And I really believe in a tournament setup like this, first and foremost, you need to pitch. And we pitched extraordinary baseball from the qualifiers, the 5 games of the qualifiers that we won, to getting into the Olympics and giving ourselves a chance to win the games we did. It really comes down to how well we pitched, and Dave's the primary reason for that.
Did you have tryouts?
We did. We had a camp down for the qualifiers. For the Olympic team, we really didn't, but the team went over to Tokyo. That team was handpicked. But for the qualifiers, we had a veterans camp that we started on May 10th. Guys like Matt Kemp and Matt Wieters, and guys that really, Rybczynski, left-handed pitcher, Edwin Jackson, Homer Bailey, all these guys came together and were down in Florida for a couple of weeks before the qualifiers to see if they could help us. And most of the guys made it and played well in the qualifiers and got us to Tokyo.
How long after that did you start your workouts once you had the team?
Once we qualified, We had about a 3-week break until we put the final touches on the team. During that time, then went down to Cary, North Carolina, and we were there for about 5 days playing an elite college team. These guys are very, very talented, and played them in a 3-game series, and they were really, really just a strong team, and we played well in that, getting us ready for Olympics, and we went over to Tokyo and we had about 8 days to work out before we played our first game in Tokyo. So to help us get acclimated a little bit to the time change, refine our system of what we were doing and set up our rotation. And we had a good time doing that.
By then, you had your 12 pitchers and your 12 position players. Right?
Yes, we did. Yeah, we did. We had 12. And the scary thing is, Ross, there's no replacing guys. Once you cross that bridge and go over to Tokyo, if 2 guys get COVID or someone gets sick or someone gets hurt, you have to play with what you have. So we really tried to build as much depth and as much versatility as we could with our club. And it's just one of the quirks of international baseball.
Team USA did not just go to the Olympics. No, they had to qualify, as you mentioned. Now, they wound up with 6 countries going, and there were 4 automatic bids given. Obviously, Japan, the host country, got to go, but also South Korea, Mexico, and Israel. Why did those 3 get automatics?
They won their tournaments to qualify. They're qualifying tournaments. You had tournaments for the Americas, you had them for Europe, and you had them in Asia. And Japan had obviously an automatic bye because they were the host country. South Korea, very, very strong team. They won the qualifiers in Asia. The surprise was really Israel beating Italy and Netherlands, some teams in Europe that are very, very strong. And they had guys like Ian Kinsler and Danny Valencia, Zaid, who was pitching the big leagues a couple of years ago, still throwing the ball well. They put together a very, very tough team, a scrappy team, and they played well. But they qualified to get the Olympics. So then it came down to 2 more clubs. And we were I can't tell you the level of talent with Cuba and Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Canada, Nicaragua. All these teams that went down to Florida in June to qualify. We played great baseball and we qualified out of that. So we were the 5th team, now the 6th team. There was one more qualifier about 2 weeks later, which happened down in Mexico, where you had Venezuela and you had Dominican Republic and Netherlands and Dominican Republic, which these guys were very, very talented and ended up winning the bronze medal in the Olympics, ended up qualifying, and that was the 6 teams. But we talked about it too. Japan had a great team in the Olympics, but getting through those qualifiers, we had to play outstanding baseball, and our guys did.
Your team had to play 4 qualifying games. You won all 4 of them to get yourself to Japan. So your team is made up mostly of AAA and AA players, a few former major leaguers, as you mentioned. The most recognizable of those, and you mentioned a couple of them, they all had their moments in the big leagues. Todd Frazier slugged 35 homers for the Reds in 2015. The next year, he hit 40 home runs with the White Sox. Edwin Jackson once pitched a no-hitter for the Diamondbacks in 2010. He still holds the major league record, Mike, for having appeared with the most big league teams in his career. 14 teams he was with, including the Dodgers. Now, David Robertson pitched out of the bullpen very well for the Yankees for a long time, I think a 12-year career. He was on the World Champions with the Yankees in 2009, and he had a good earned run average in his career of about 3. Another pitcher, Scott Kazmir, led the American League in strikeouts back in 2006. So, as you mentioned, big leaguers past their prime. Didn't Japan take a pause in its so-called major league season to allow the best players they had, the best pros they had, to go to the Olympics and try to win that country's first gold medal in baseball?
They did, Ross, and it's understandable. I think there's a source of great pride for Japan, how they play baseball, and they had a terrific team and played great in the tournament. Their team was comprised of really their Major League All-Star team. And they were very, very formidable. We had them beat until the ninth inning one game, and then we lost the gold medal game. We lost 2-0. They pitched very well. So their team was comparable to, I think, the team we were putting out there, and we just didn't quite get it done. But they deserved it. They played great baseball. I think that showed probably 3 or 4 of their pitchers that they threw in this tournament, and against us in particular in the last day, certainly had major league stuff and could pitch in the major leagues.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was a great exhibition of baseball. I think the Japanese team, they were scrappy, and they had a great balance of guys who could drive the ball along with little ball, and they ran the bases aggressively. They were a great team. They deserved it, and we tipped our cap to them, and they won the gold medal.
What was kind of surprising to me, Mike, was the fact that you had players on Team USA who were in the Japanese professional leagues now.
Yes. We had 2, one Nick Martinez and one Tyler Austin. Tyler Austin hit third for us and had a great tournament for us. So it was really important to our club. And Nick Martinez threw 2 terrific games for us to help us to get to the to medal and get to that gold medal game. Both those guys have some major league experience, over here, and they're still playing great baseball. So we were excited to have them join our club.
There had to be major concerns about COVID-19 when you went to Japan. Were you satisfied with the precautions taken when you arrived?
Absolutely, Ross. It really was attention to detail as far as the medical groups who were in charge of it. We were tested every day, very efficiently, very effectively. We had masks on, obviously. Our travel was restricted. We weren't allowed to go to any other events, but we, could walk around our hotel. We stayed in the hotel. Most of the players stayed in the village, or all the players stayed in the village, and there were precautions there and guidelines. And fortunately, there were a couple, outbreaks here and there, but it was very minimal. I think the whole country of Japan is very, very sensitive to the fact of where this, COVID is, and their COVID response is incredible. So we felt very, very comfortable in the fact that everything is being done for our well-being, as the well-being of all the athletes.
Were you allowed to take your wife, Ann?
No, Ann couldn't make it. No, you couldn't bring your wife or significant other or a friend or anybody over. It was really just people that were in our baseball contingent, and that was it.
Were you in the arena the night that they had the opening ceremonies? Did you get to walk with the American Olympians, and what was the feeling?
We were, at first we thought we could, and then about a week before we left, they told us because of the sensitivity of numbers, they were trying to keep the numbers down for just for people being around with the COVID response, that they were not going to invite any coaches for any teams or any event. It was just going to be purely the athletes. But we watched it, and we were also happy to share the moment because one of our own, our second baseman, Eddie Alvarez, was the flag bearer.
That's right.
For the whole U.S. team, along with Sue Bird, who started in basketball. Yeah. So those 2 guys were the flag bearers, and very, very proud moment for us all to see Eddie, who is really one of 3 Americans, one of 6 overall, that medaled in the Winter Olympics as well as the Summer Olympics. He won in speed skating, in 2014, and won a silver medal there, and he followed up with a silver medal in baseball this year.
Wow. Well, when you got to Japan, and you mentioned this a minute ago, when you got there, you had to wait 8 days before you played that first game with Israel. That's a long time, Mike. What'd you do?
It is. We worked out a couple of days. We had to do inter-squad games just so our hitters could stay sharp and our pitchers could stay sharp. And I think our coaching staff did a great job just getting these guys ready. And our guys are ready to play, Ross. The 8-day layoff probably lasted an inning or 2 when we played Israel. But once they got in the groove, we hit the ball much better. We played great defense. I think our staff did a great job just to keep our guys, keep that edge that we had, going into the Olympics.
Team USA won its first two games. Was it strange to play with no fans in the stands?
It was. In fact, you remember the days maybe in the early '80s going in to watch the Atlanta Braves before they became before they became the dominant force in baseball for a while. And you had you go into Fulton County Stadium and you'd be lucky if there were 2,500 people in the stands, and
Right.
and it was it's kind of like what we experienced here. Yes, it was. Sometimes you react to the crowd noise. Certainly, when you're running the bases and a play's behind you, you can react to the crowd noise. But it was, our players played well. They got used to it, but it certainly was something that we're not used to.
In game three, you had a 6-3 lead over Japan and 6-5 going to the bottom of the ninth. They got to run the ninth to tie, got to run the 10th to beat you 7-6. Did you notice any kind of a drop off in team morale after the defeat?
Oh, it was a tough defeat, no doubt, because that really, although our road was still clear on what we had to do, they had a more direct route to getting to that gold medal game. But I think that the way the tournament was set up, and we proved it, we went out and won 2 games against 2 tough teams, beating Korea and the Dominican, to get back into that game with Japan for the medal game, for the gold medal game. So, the way we looked at it was, hey, it's a half step backwards. There's no doubt about it. But, we just had to play 2 more games to get back to where we would have been if we had won that game. And our guys responded very well and beat 2 tough clubs to get us back in with a chance for the gold medal against Japan.
And in the championship game, a great pitching duel. Japan hit a home run in the 3rd inning. They went ahead of you 1-0. Your club put runners on base that day in 7 of the 9 innings, but you stranded 9 runners in the ball game, and they got it done on a run in the 8th inning. They beat you 2-0. But being the man you are, and you mentioned this a minute ago, you said Japan deserved to win.
They did, Ross. Their pitchers made some pitches in tough situations and got out of those jams that you highlighted there. We had runners on base and just couldn't get that key hit. And sometimes that happens in baseball. So I'm very, very proud of the way our guys bounced back after the first loss in Japan, which was a tough one, obviously, in extra innings, to get back to that gold medal game. And really, we're just a key hitter here or there away from winning that game. So it didn't work out. Japan played at the level they needed to play to win. They deserved it. And as I said before, we tip our cap to them.
Mike, you have had 32 years of Major League Baseball experience, 13 as a player, 19 as a catcher. You've had plenty of time to think about this. Should Major League Baseball be a little bit easier to work with about letting some of the star players in this country compete in the Olympics?
Ross, yes and no. I think it would be impossible for Major League Baseball to shut down a season for the 2 weeks it would take. I just don't think that's in our schedule. We're already going into November with a lot of playoffs, which if you're playing in Minnesota, you're playing in New York, Boston, there's a threat of snow. And, you don't really want to play a World Series game, obviously, with the threat of snow. So you really can't extend the season anymore to get the whole game in. I think when you talk about the WBC, I think that's more of an event where you're going to see more of your top line talent, your major league stars from all countries. You'll see, Shohei Ohtani play for Japan, and you'll see, Mike Trout play for the United States. You'll see this. You'll see Tatis play for Dominican. You'll see this whole group of talented players playing in WBC. As far as the Olympics, I think baseball will be as open as they can be with the United States of our club, and expand it to 40-man roster guys again, which would give us a deeper club, and would give teams like the Dominican a deeper clubs. Teams that have players playing in major league systems they would all have the opportunity to have deeper clubs. So I think you'll eventually get back to that, and when the Olympics come back around, But as far as major league players playing in it, I think that's what the WBC is going to be for.
Tell everybody what the WBC is.
The World Baseball Classic, and that's it's the kind of the World Cup of baseball, where you play it in March and just before the season opens, and have teams represented with their top talent that is playing in really the best league in the world, which is obviously U.S. Major League Baseball.
You mentioned it briefly, but I'll ask a part of it again. How do the American major leaguers compare to the Japanese professional players?
Well, the high-end Japanese players are very comparable to the best talent we have here in the United States. You look at Shohei Ohtani. You look at a lot of the players. You look at the Yu Darvish guys that have come over and have performed very well. They have Suzuki, Ichiro Suzuki. These guys are high-level players that are comparable with any of the stars that we have here. The depth is where the separating factor is. The baseball depth in the United States is the best in the world by far. And I think that you're seeing the best arms. You're seeing the number of arms that come out of our country is it's just disproportional to other countries. We have so many more of them. So I would think that the high-end talent that you see in Asia, these guys are terrific athletes. They're dedicated. They work very, very hard to be the best version of themselves. And there's no doubt they come over to our country and you can see they become stars. So the level of play overall, I think if you would take a team from Japan and put it in our major league season, their depth would show up to be a negative for them because they wouldn't have the pitching depth to be able to do what a lot of major league teams are able to do. But their high-end talent is right there with anybody, and it's shown. You look at Ohtani, the most dynamic player in the world right now. He's something special. So they play great baseball there for sure.
There was no baseball in the 2012 or 2016 Olympics. There will be no baseball in the 2024 Olympics in Paris. The International Olympic Committee makes that decision. Do you think that was done because there's really no baseball presence in Europe?
Well, you can say that about a lot of host countries. There is a baseball presence in Europe. They play very, very good baseball in Italy. The Dutch play great baseball. So there is a lot of baseball played in Europe. Maybe not so much in the host country of France, obviously. I think that as the Olympics, I think it's important that this exposition is important to highlight every sport that is played around the world, and the amount of baseball played around the world is incredible. So, in my estimation, it's just an oversight that should be corrected at some point, to where baseball should be a standardized Olympic sport in the summer, and I hope someday it'll get to that.
Don't you think, though, there's a good chance baseball will return for the 2028 games in Los Angeles?
I would hope so. And then, of course, 2032 in Australia, I would hope that right after we get through this 2024, absence, that baseball will make a strong recovery. And I think get back to the Olympics. And I'm hoping that as we move forward, whatever country hosts the Olympics, that baseball is a fixture.
Mike Scioscia has been highly respected throughout the game as a manager. Would you like to be a major league manager again?
Ross, I'm very, very content of where I am right now. I love working at the amateur level. I love working with the next generation of players. It's really a lot of fun for me. I do not see myself back in a major league dugout.
Okay. Hey, congratulations on your first grandchild.
How about it? That's one of the reasons why I don't want to get on that grind again, Ross. Ann and I are thrilled that we can sit back and, on a personal level myself, give back some of the time that, how much time we give away to this game over the years. To give back some of the time to our family, it's fun.
A granddaughter, huh?
Yeah, a little granddaughter, and we get a chance to see her every day.
Oh, wonderful. That's
Yeah.
terrific. Mike Scioscia, you've been a great credit to the game that you love. And I want to thank you today for taking the time to share your Olympic experience as well with us.
Ross, thank you very much, and keep doing what you're doing. You're spreading great words, great messages, and thank you for having me on.